Okay, so now that I have my website with its structure, I just want to pimp it up a little bit. And I will do so by using something called Fomantic-UI. Fomantic-UI is a fork of semantic-ui. Semantic-UI is a project that allows you to super easy add buttons, accordions, tables, lists, etc. into your project, not only by a unified layout, but also super easy by saying designing such components like a button should be super easy, understandable. Many frameworks use like languages like I don't know, like GX7 for whatever grid system, or they have special definitions for certain components. And what Semantic wants is to make it some kind of readable. So if you want to have a big red button on your page, maybe you can remember it from the version 1.1.1 video that I did for this series, that it really is like button class equal double dots equal what was it, UI big red button, so that you instantly understand that, okay, here is a big red button. So the problem with semantic UI is that it hasn't been updated now for quite some time. So that's why some guys just forked it in the 2.8 version. No, 2.7 if I remember it. And yeah, meanwhile we are talking about Fomantic-UI 2.8.8. The thing is that they say that as soon as Semantic-UI is going to be reanimated and activated, they will stop to develop Fomantic-UI. But honestly, the people at Fomantic-UI are doing such a great job that I would suggest them to not do so. So currently, I'm using Fomantic-UI. If you don't know what I'm talking about, what I've been talking about for the last 2 minutes, maybe you heard something about Bootstrap. Bootstrap is the nonchalant, super granddaddy of designing, super easy designing certain things. For example, for your website, I take always check the first thing when I hear about a new framework CSS, I check the buttons. So if I instantly like the buttons, then I know, okay, if they are well designed, then the rest should be also super easy to understand. So just to show an example, this is the button, and to make this appear, you don't have to write more code than, like what I said, div or button or whatever you want, class equals to UI button. Just let me open up the code here so you're going to see it. Here it is. This is a standard button coming with the standard colors. If you define a template, a theme for the CSS, you even can use words like primary, so that, for example, buttons would appear in blue. So what Fomantic allows you is to super easy add all this that you can see on the left. Let's call them components. You can include them into your layout design, and you are going to see that step by step, because I'm using a lot of them with the vision or the idea that I have for my website. So what we are doing now, if you scroll up to the getting started button of the website. Oh yeah, the website is fomantic-ui.com. Sorry, I forgot about that. So if we are getting started, we have to include 3 lines of code. In theory, only 2 lines of code, because the one is for jQuery. Just let me see where it is. Here it is, using a CDN provider. If you don't know what a CDN provider is, imagine something like this. Let's say that you want to use Fomantic or Bootstrap or whatever on your website. There are literally 2 ways on how to do it. You can download the whole package, upload it to your server, and then include it right from within your server. Or you can use so-called CDN providers. Fomantic-UI offers you three CDN providers. This means that JS Deliver, CDN.js, and Unpackage allow you to include the code from their servers. On one hand, this is great because you don't host the stuff on your own server. But on the other hand, there are two disadvantages with this. First of all, for example, in Germany, if you include something externally, you have to define that in the policy of your page. So in theory, even on your private page, if you use something like this can put you into trouble. Don't ask me how deep, because I don't know it. But they say that German law says that if you include something from external providers, then you have to mention that. The second danger with this is that I many years ago used, I can't remember what plugin it was, but I used JS Deliver to add a plugin on my server. And one morning I went to my website and the website was hacked, or appeared to be hacked. And instantly, the first thing that I did was check my FTP account. I logged in with FileZilla, and everything was there. Everything was working fine. Everything was great, and no code was injected into any HTML page or whatever. But the problem was that the code was injected inside this. Just an example. It wasn't jQuery. It was I can't remember the library anymore, but it was included in there, injected in there. And because I was including this file in my website, the first thing that appeared was a total blank white background with a banner. I can't remember if it was a porn banner or whatever, but the first scary moment was that you thought, okay, my website has been hacked. So I am now going to do it this way. I'm going to include the CDN provider solutions, but later on I'm going to download the plugins and install them directly on my server. So for this, what we do is, let me copy all three of them. We are not going to put them in this way into our code. I just copied it, go to the backend and paste it in here. So jQuery, all the, you see, now I can't remember if it's better to, no, I think Snowboard and scripts should load last. So the JavaScripts, I'm going the plugins, I'm going the libraries, I'm going to put in here, and the style sheet up there. And because maybe I want to override some styles, I'm going to put my styles or the other styles beneath this. Okay. So currently what we are saying is nothing more than, hey, include in the head, include the CSS from Fomantic-UI and its version in here, and the JavaScripts at the bottom of the page. Currently, jQuery is available in its version 3.6.0, I think. Yeah, and we can keep it like this at the moment, but there should be no problem updating this. The problem is if you use libraries that use certain, if there has been any change in deprecated codes from within jQuery, then your library might not work anymore. But if they say that Fomantic works with 3.3.1, then keep it that way. And if you install furthermore, if you are going to install further libraries, then you should, right after injecting the code in here or inserting the lines, that you should check if everything is working fine like that. Okay, so to see if something has changed, I'm going to my page. Oops, sorry, this is not, where is it? Here it is. I'm going to my page, and instead of hello world, I'm going to put in here, I'm going to insert it into a so-called segment. UI segment. I'm going to divide now let me take the divider so that you can see the divider in here, and then I'm going to put a button big green button. Hello. And I'm even going, because this is also something beautiful that comes with Fomantic. Fomantic comes with Font Awesome. That's a icon library included. So if I write, how was it? Big green left labeled, was it like the labeled icon button? I hope my English is correct like that. And here I'm going to say home icon. Okay, let's see if this is going to work. What I suggest is, hey, insert a big green left labeled or right labeled, you can choose this, button with an icon. And the icon is going to be this one. And the text is going to be that one. So let's see if this works out by refreshing our website. Let's see. No, it doesn't. Why not? Why doesn't this work? Button class UE. I'm absolutely sure that something has not been loaded and I don't know what. Let me just see this one. Refresh it again. Something's not loaded. So when this happens, let's inspect if I wrote something wrong, if a library can't be loaded or whatever. Everything seems fine like that. So what I do now is, where are my scripts? Why can't I see my scripts in here? What is this? Am I working on the right page? Have I defined default in here? Okay. I'm a little bit, let me see if there it is, my failure. So I have set up the whole page with the file name that I'm going to put in here and I'm just calling it index.htm. And I forgot to define the layout. So in here, I have to click there and choose what layout from these layouts that I have set up, what is the one that I want to include. Currently, we have only, where is it? We have this one, the default HTML. So I'm saving this and now it should work. So refresh and there it is. With just some lines of code, you already have this beautiful design button with the icon, some space margin on top, bottom, left, and right. You can't see it right now because I just want to show it to you. Let me make this smaller because my Raspberry Pi has not that big resolution. Let me just put this inside a container. And beautify this a little bit. So save it. So all that I did was just, UI container. I think if I remember, it must be UI container. Because Fomantic-UI also comes with a grid system, so that you really just have like a predefined column. A predefined column system. So now it's centered because I said container. It's going to put the whole thing in a responsive, optimized container. So this is Fomantic-UI. Just to show you the grid system quickly. This is done by simply, not inside I could write it inside the segment, but I don't want to write it inside the segment. So we are going to write it in here like this. Div class grid column. Let me just copy paste this one or duplicate them. Okay, so now we should have a grid system with 4 equal divided with, I think there's also equal, it's going to happen, but no, it's not going to happen, you see? Because I forgot this one, 4 column grid. I can say, hey, these are just 4 columns. I think this is it. I hope this is it. Script kiddie attacking. There it is. So he divided them equally. And let me test this one out. Red inverted column. No, with the column, I think it's not possible. No, it's not possible. Forget that. Let me just, I would like to show you visually. It's a little bit difficult to understand. You see the B is like at this point, and you can define, I hope it's going to work like that. If I say, for example, 8 white column, because the grid system is based on a 16, how do you call it? Like in 16 parts, and you can define each part per column in this case. For example, okay, this was too big, so he broke it. So let's call this one 4 column, 4 white column, 2 white column. Do we have 16? 4, 6 plus 8. No, then let's put 6 in here. Now we have 18. 6 white column, 6 white column, and the last ones, the both last ones, a little bit smaller. Let's see if this is going to work out now. There it is. You can see that the column A goes from A to B and from B to C, and then C and D are are much smaller than that one. So you really can get some beautiful site structure with the Fomantic-UI. And all you need to do is just repeat it, is include the style sheet in here and the jQuery bin and the semantic bin. Later on, you are going to include it something like this. Script source, that is twig, curly brackets. No, it's not assets, sorry. Theme, if I remembered correctly, is something like this. Assets and then JS, jQuery, min.js. So this is how you include into Winter CMS, include files, for example, or even redirect something to the media manager that you can see on top of the menu. There's this button media. If you want to include an image coming from the media manager, you don't have to write the full path, but just give some kind of direction. Hey, look into the theme folder. If you remember, I defined my theme folder with like Cyberholic 2022. And in there is a folder called assets, and there is a folder JS, and etc. So all that we are going to do, sorry, I remember I don't need the assets. That was my failure again. So all we need to do is just, just let me show you. Let's take the opportunity on how to include your own JavaScript files in there. So for example, you do it like this. I don't know if the leading dash needs to be in there. We will see it in a second. So I'm telling him, go into the assets folder of my theme, and in there is a folder JS, and there is the file Cyberholic.js. So if we go now to assets, here we can create a new directory, call it JS, create, and in here create file cyberholic.js, and in here I'm going to put my first JavaScript hello world. So like this. Okay, let's see if this is going to work out. Refresh the page. And it's not working out. Why not? I am going to check the code. Where is my Cyberholic? Here you can see the whole structure. JS Cyberholic.js. It has not Cyberholic.js. It has not been found. Why not? Let me go back to the Oh, it has not been found. I haven't created the, where's the, sorry, I know where my failure is. I simply saved it calling it Cyberholic.js, but I have to open it again. And it's not inside the folder. You could move it in there, or you can simply go to the file name and write js/. Save it. And now to the left, you're going to see it has been moved into the JavaScript folder. So if I refresh the page now, do we see an alert? Alert, alert. No, we don't see an alert. Why not? Again, the source code, go to Cyberholic.js. Still hasn't been found. What's wrong? What am I doing wrong? Cyberholic.js. I think it has to be written with the assets. Could it be? Just let me see. Sorry. It has to be assets. I think it has to be assets in there because the theme has several other folders, and there it is. That was my fail again. So you have to write the assets folder so that he knows that you want to search in there. Here's the hello world alarm, and this is how it must look like. So later on we are going to do this with other libraries because, as I said, depending on the legal situation of your country, it could be that this one could put you into trouble where you have to set up a privacy declaration where you say, okay, I include files from external, blah, blah, blah. This is also the same thing with fonts. So it's always better to download them and upload them to your own server and include it directly so that you don't get in trouble in there nowadays with all this cookie policy terror and etc. Okay, so this is how you install the semantic UI. I want to use this semantic UI for the layout, and on the next video I'm going to install the first plugin with Winter CMS because I have something special for my website.